Hello and welcome to the Joe Ligato Show. I'm your host, Dr. Joe Ligato, and today we're going to be reviewing and providing commentary on an article from the Straits Times. And the article is titled, Philippines Drops China Railway Deals, Seeks Other Funders. And man, this is a disappointment for me. So as a lot of my viewers know, I immigrated from the United States to the Philippines. I love the Philippines. They're a strongly Christian nation. They're very fun people. They're enjoyable to get along with, very low cost of living. They speak English to a large extent, so it's been an pretty easy transition for me. But one thing I have found is that the Philippines has a very subservient relationship with the United States, and they don't really understand how it doesn't benefit them to be this subservient to the United States. I mean, it certainly, I guess, benefited me because people like Americans here, but they've forgotten their history of colonialism and how many people died fighting the Spanish and then the Americans in order to stop Philippines from being colonized. And right now, the Philippines is doing far worse than it could have otherwise been if it had not been a puppet of the United States. And I really do think to a large extent it is a puppet of the United States, given the fact that it's cutting off deals, cutting off relationships with places like China, and it's fomenting a lot of hostility towards China. And just to reiterate how silly this kind of is for Philippines to be doing is there's I think it's like a 9, 10 line, 11 line, things like that, which is China's claims to territorial waters, and some of that claim overlaps with Philippines' claims to international waters based off of small little islands that both of them have control of and things like that. But the thing is, if the Philippines takes the American side against China, America, when it comes to territorial disputes, is going to take Taiwan's side over Philippines because of the necessity of the semiconductor industry in Taiwan. So let's just run through a simulation here before we even get into the article to show how silly it is for the Philippines to take a pro-American side over a pro-China side. And that is, if the United States supports Taiwan in their territorial disputes over international waters with Philippines, then Taiwan actually has, I think it's an 11 line. So they actually have more territorial claims over water disputes in the South China Sea than China does, mainland China. And so if the Philippines is supporting America, they're actually supporting losing even more territory, ocean territory, to Taiwan versus to China, because mainland China has, I believe it's a 10 line instead of a 9 line. So they're competing for less territory with Philippines. So just at its onset, it does not make sense for the Philippines to take America's side because they're going to be losing more territory than if they took China's side. And China has shown a willingness to resolve disputes between nations whenever nations want to actually resolve this dispute. And you can use Russia as an example here. China wanted a peaceful northern border, and so they resolved their land disputes with Russia. And Philippines could do the exact same. Because you can see over the decades, the Philippines has not benefited from America. America has not worked on its own infrastructure, let alone the Philippines' infrastructure, and it's not helped to produce any goods or services that the Philippines can be competitive in to make it a successful nation. It's really helped to foment corruption within the Philippines. And so again, this type of thing does not benefit the Philippines. Even if you run through the entire simulation, Philippines loses more territory if it supports the United States versus supporting China. So just need to think through the consequences of your actions. And unfortunately, it does not seem like the Philippines is doing that right now. Under former President Duterte, it did seem like they were more cognizant of the consequences of their actions. And so anyways, let's get into the article now. So article is on Philippines drops China railway deal, seeks other funders. Who are they going to get as other funders here? Because China is the only one that builds things. The United States just destroys things. So the Philippines will no longer pursue Chinese loans to fund 3 railway projects valued at more than $5 billion. Has started discussions with other Asian countries for alternative financing deals. So Indonesia just got very high-speed rails from China, and Philippines is going to lose out on that. I would love to have better methods of transportation here. If we could have like high-speed rails that like go above the water or below the water for all these different island chains, that'd be very interesting. Just anything for better transportation in the Philippines, because it's pretty rough. It's rocky country here. and the methods of transportation are not particularly good. So the article goes on to say, we saw that China appeared to be no longer interested, so we'll look for other partners. Obviously, they're not particularly interested at this point because Philippines has offered to let America have more military bases here, which inevitably is going to be used for war against China. And I don't understand what China how Philippines benefits from this, because that means that the battlefield for the war between USA and China is going to be in places like Taiwan and like the Philippines. And so why would you ever allow that for your country? It just does not make sense. There's no, as far as I can tell, there's no real rational argument for it. There's just been a lot of patriotic zeal that's been fomented over the South China Sea territorial claims. But again, as I mentioned, they lose more by siding with the United States versus siding with China over those territorial claims. So China agreed to fund 3 railway projects located outside the Philippines capital during the administration of then President Rodrigo Duterte, who was an excellent leader from all indications, who sought closer ties with Beijing. The government of his successor, Ferdinand Marcos Jr., also known as Bongbong, reviewed the deal. The deal is due to lack of progress from the Chinese side. Finance Secretary Benjamin Dianco in September notified Chinese Ambassador Huang Ziling in a letter that Manila is no longer inclined to pursue Chinese financing for the first phase of the Mindanao Railway project. The project involves a 100-kilometer transport system that would traverse Mr. Duterte's southern home region of Davao. Yay, I'm in the Davao region. Yay, Mindanao, which the government had valued at 81.7 billion pesos. That I wish that had happened. That would have been very cool for me. I have to do a lot of things with visa stuff, traveling long distances because it's not online yet. So this would have been wonderful, but unfortunately, they're making some decisions that I would not have made, and I don't see any benefit to making. So, Chinese embassy in Manila did not immediately respond to requests for comments. Mr. Batista said the finance department will send a formal notification to terminate the funding of the Subic-Clark Freight Railway, which links 2 former U.S. military bases turned commercial zones, and a proposed long-haul commuter railway in the southern part of the main Luzon Island. Luzon is the northern island. The north and the west are really going to be the areas that face a lot of that are going to be the battlegrounds between the United States and China. So I feel very bad for them. That's why a lot of the military bases for the United States are in those locations, because that's facing China. And I'm in Southeastern, so I don't have to face any of that stuff, unfortunately. Well, no, fortunately for me, unfortunately for the people in those areas that will have to face that. So the railways are valued at 50 billion pesos and 175.3 pesos, respectively. I assume that's billion pesos, according to an official list of projects as at May 2021. Turning to other financing options may delay the projects that are critical to Southeast Asian nations' infrastructure push to spur its economy. They are among projects initially listed for completion as early as this year. There are at least 2 Asian countries that are interested in the Subic, Clark, and Long Haul Railway project. Wait, let me see. Which one is this? 100-kilometer. Is that the Long Railway project? I don't know. Long Haul Railway project. I think that's the Mindanao one. I don't know. Mr. Batista said declining to name them because discussions are still preliminary. Okay, 2 Asian countries. Who would they be? Maybe a Vietnam? Who else, though? Could be a Japan? I don't know. Japan doesn't really build things overly much anymore. So I don't know who that could be. I don't think it could be in India, because India is not even building their own infrastructure right now. The government is also considering funding the 3 projects or partnering with multilateral lenders and private companies. He added, oh, that's horrible. So owe a ton of money, be it a ton of debt to the Western powers. That's the brand of neo-colonialism that a lot of countries are facing now. They're just in massive amounts of debts to the West, and it's not beneficial to their countries whatsoever. So the decision to scrap Chinese loans comes against the backdrop of rising tensions between Manila and Beijing in the disputed South China Sea. So I would, again, if it's over the South China Sea, if you're taking the side of America, that means you're taking the side of Taiwan, which wants even more territory in the South China Sea. So I wish someone would explain to me why any of this makes sense from why does it benefit Manila? Why does it benefit the Philippines to take America's side? Because it does not make any sense to me as far as I can tell. Matters came to a boil last weekend when boats from the two countries collided on separate occasions as the Philippines attempted to resupply a World War II-era ship it has used to reinforce its territorial claims. Mr. Bautista would not attribute the stalled Chinese loan agreement to the geopolitical tensions. Even before these tensions started, the discussions weren't progressing, adding he would still welcome Chinese financing for other infrastructure projects. There are a lot of projects they can support if they want to, Mr. Bautista said. So yeah, this is very sad for the Philippines because they have a lot of potential. I think they're in a really good location to be a trade hub, but they're just too beholden to the United States. They have very rose-tinted glasses when it comes to their colonial masters, and they're not recognizing the fact that China doesn't invade the Philippines. China has never been a hostile power towards the Philippines, and joining the United States does not benefit in any way, and it's not good. It's very sad. But again, on a personal level, the affinity for Americans has definitely been beneficial for me because they very much love Americans here above anything that I think is particularly reasonable. But I do, just as a final note, really wish Philippines would do things that are in its national interest. And so we'll see if anything comes of that. So if you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up. It helps us in the algorithm. Please subscribe to our channel on YouTube and Rumble for more content. We're producing things every single day. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, critiques, please leave that in the comment box below. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Bye.